In the late 1990s, Dido's voice was everywhere. On car radios, in student rooms, office kitchens, on TV shows, wedding playlists, and indelibly in a blockbuster hip-hop track that made her love song synonymous with obsessive fandom worldwide. Then almost as quietly as she had arrived, she retreated. Not with a tabloid implosion or a grand renunciation, but with a gentle turn of the volume from everywhere to just enough. On paper, Dido wasn't supposed to become one of the defining pop voices of the turn of the millennium. She was a gentle Londoner with a poetic mother and a publisher for a father, a classically trained child who could make a recorder sing but preferred patient melodies to fireworks. Dido's story is less about flameouts than about pressure, taste, timing, and a fiercely guarded private life that shaped the size and shape of her career. And it begins fittingly with a name that sounds like fiction but is delightfully real. Dido Florian Cloud de Bonaviale O'Malley Armstrong was born in London on December 25, 1971. She grew up surrounded by books and music, took lessons at the Guildhall School of Music and Drama, and learned to love restraint, phrases that fall like a breath, melodies that take their time. Her older brother, Rollo Armstrong, helped spearhead the electronic group Faithless, and through him, she learned how beats and atmosphere could cradle a song rather than crush it. She wrote, tried things, failed privately, and followed her ear toward a hybrid that critics would later call folk pop, dream pop, even folktronica. It would be years before the world heard it. So the world's first brush with that sound came by way of the cinema. In 1998, the romantic dramedy Sliding Doors used an unreleased Dido song, Thank You, over its soundtrack. The track's wistful gratitude and gentle lilt caught listeners off guard. That one placement set two dominoes falling. Clive Davis's Arista took a serious interest, and crucially, New York super producer, the 45 King, sampled Thank You on a beat that eventually reached Eminem. That sample would change Dido's life forever.
Sent to me, I was in New York at the time with this, they said, oh, Eminem sampled the song, and I'm thinking, I wonder what's happening, because I was actually a huge Eminem fan, but I was sort of like, I wonder what he's done, Completely brilliant, he's, to me, the ultimate storyteller, and I was just like, this is great, and then I didn't think too much more about it, and we just sort of got on with the tour, and then just suddenly everything completely exploded. It was definitely quite a leap and quite...
In June 1999, Dido's debut album, No Angel, arrived in the US first. It didn't explode, it hovered. She toured in clubs, small theaters, and even a handful of Lilith Fair dates, and pushed radio single by single. Here With Me, a velvet-toned plea that never raises its voice, seemed too subtle for the era until the teen sci-fi series Roswell adopted it as its theme and later used the song in full during a season finale. Overnight, the track became that song, the one people searched for after an episode and bought the next day. Managers noticed sales spikes from thousands to many thousands in a single week. The fuse had caught. Then came Stan. Eminem built his 2000 psychodrama around the first verse of Thank You. He invited Dido to sing the hook and appear in the video, playing the pregnant girlfriend in a narrative that ends in tragedy. With that cameo, millions who'd never set foot in a Lilith Fair tent suddenly knew her voice and face. Meanwhile, No Angel quietly crept up the charts on both sides of the Atlantic, and by 2001, the sleeper became a juggernaut. The album was widely reported as the top-selling LP of the year worldwide in Billboard's Global 20, and it returned to #1 in the UK again and again. At the Brit Awards in February 2002, No Angel won Best British Album and Dido took home Best British Female, confirming that Near Whisper had become a roar.
Ladies and gentlemen, tonight's award, and it is richly deserved, goes to Dido!
Dido's big break came when Eminem used her song Thank You in his worldwide hit Stan. Her debut album No Angel has sold over 12 million copies around the world, more than any other British album of the last 12 months.
There were reasons for that reach. The hooks were intimate but indelible. The production, guided by Rollo and collaborators like Rick Nowles, made acoustic guitar and trip-hop textures feel natural together. Critics were split on the lyrics. Some found them too polite, but audiences heard a bomb. Music you could live with at any hour. Lightning struck twice in 2003 because Life for Rent didn't reinvent Dido. It refined the blend. Sleek acoustics, gentle electronics, melodies that float rather than jab. White Flag became the album's banner, a love song about surrender that somehow feels like a vow of strength, and it helped carry the album to #1 in the UK and top 5 in the US. However, a massive draw doesn't mean an easy ride. Big albums bring big expectations, but Dido's temperament was never that of an attention economy warrior. She toured and did the rounds, but always with the air of someone who would rather be working on the songs than working the room. If the first two albums wrote a wave of serendipity and perfect media placement, the third arrived from a different place altogether. Dido's father passed away in 2006, and the songs that formed Safe Trip Home in 2008 carry the weight of that loss. The arrangements are hushed. You can almost hear the silence in the room. Critics heard craft and tenderness. Some praised its maturity, others wished for more dramatic peaks, but nobody mistook it for a power play. This was also when the shape of Dido's career began to diverge from the pop machine. She continued to collaborate in intriguing ways, co-writing I'm Not a Girl, Not Yet a Woman for Britney Spears, singing with Carlos Santana and Rufus Wainwright, and later co-writing and performing If I Rise with A.R. Rahman for Danny Boyle's film 127 Hours, a song that earned an Academy Award nomination for Best Original Song in 2011. But the scale of solo promotion narrowed. She made a fourth album, Girl Who Got Away, in 2013, some of it recorded while pregnant. Then she pressed pause. Motherhood had arrived and her priorities shifted decisively. Here, the silent fall becomes not a collapse but a change of altitude. Where other stars might treat family as a sabbatical from stardom, Dido treated fame as something to be stepped back into when it made sense. She married writer Rohan Gavin in 2010. Their son, Stanley, was born in July 2011. Interviews from the period make her stance plain. This was the best and most absorbing project of her life. The music could wait until it felt right. Pop history often frames fall as scandal, backlash, or a dip into creative incoherence. Dido's decline in visibility was none of those. It was the consequence of three things that the industry rarely rewards: patience, privacy, and a refusal to inflate. After two albums that sold in the tens of millions, almost any follow-up would look smaller on paper. After the high saturation years of No Angel and Life for Rent, any quieter chapter would read as retreat. Her fifth album, Still on My Mind in 2019, brought her back into focus without demanding the world's gaze. Co-written and produced with Rollo, the record folds her trademark hush into more contemporary, low-key electronics. It yielded a number 3 bow on the UK albums chart. Its single, Give You Up, topped the US Dance Club Songs chart, and, more symbolically, it lured her back onto a world tour for the first time in 15 years. To understand both the rise and the silent fall, it helps to see how unusual Dido's magnetism is. She doesn't belt, she doesn't browbeat, she rarely, if ever, courts controversy. Her best choruses feel like private thoughts sung aloud. Her writing favors warmth over wit, reassurance over revelation. That's exactly why No Angel and Life for Rent traveled so far. They are companionable records. In the early 2000s, that design fit the cultural mood. After the manic end of the 90s and the shock of 2001, there was a hunger for songs that didn't shout. Dido's voice met that moment. You could tune your day to Here With Me, Thank You, a White Flag without feeling like you'd invited a diva into your living room. So, where does that leave her now? In the post-streaming landscape that measures attention in seconds and the impact of TikTok. Somewhere more interesting than a comeback story or a cautionary tale. Dido's fall is quiet because it's not the end of something. It's the maintenance of a relationship. She's sold over 20 million copies of No Angel alone and placed 2 albums among the UK's best-selling records of the 2000s. She's the owner of multiple Brit Awards. She's reached the Oscars with a song so subtle it floats through a room. She's also willing to stay out of the spotlight for years if the timing or the songs aren't right. Dido's rise was unexpected because the industry didn't see the audience for subtlety until she connected it to a hook and a hip-hop phenomenon. It turns out that millions of people want songs that sound like the inside of a thoughtful person's head. And her fall was silent because she chose it to be so. Attend to grief, live a private life. Time releases for the life you have, not the one a label might script. So what do you guys think about Dido's unexpected rise and silent fall? Let us know in the comments. And if you enjoyed diving into this one, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss what's coming next.